We have a problem. Cats are great, but Eve has been feeding a small army of outdoor cats, and they keep growing in number. And yes, we've made sure to get them all fixed. The problem is that in these harsh Texas winters, they've discovered that the warmest place to sleep at night is in our homemade ceramic kiln. With its double-layered ceramic insulation, I really can't blame them. But I bet they wake up every morning quite itchy. Part of our solution involves this torch, but we'll get to that later. Stick around to watch us build the cutest little cat house using lots of fire, lots of tools, and lots of cat butts. Every great idea starts with a sketch. Some really bad ideas do too, so be careful. Eva originally wanted a 4-foot long cat condominium, but we scaled it down a little bit to be 3 foot long and only have 2 openings instead of 3. We grabbed a couple things from everyone's favorite orange tool place, a sheet of plywood, some cedar trim, and some cedar fence pickets. At least here in Texas, these fence pickets are really cheap for cedar, so we use them on a lot of our projects like our backyard beer taps. We're using the plywood to make the outer shell of our box, so the top, the bottom, the sides, the back, the front, and the middle divider. We were a little short on plywood, so we had to use a scrap piece of OSB for the middle divider. Other than that, we did this all out of one sheet of plywood, and it was only 26 bucks, which really wasn't too bad. Since plywood really doesn't like to butt up against itself, we made a few pieces of blocking out of some scrap 1x2 pine that we had laying around. We just made a stop block on our miter saw, super simple, and Eva cut out way more blocking than we ended up using, but that's okay. Apologies for the messy shop. Unlike those fancy YouTube woodworking influencers, we actually use our tools. We love Drew, and if you haven't already, go subscribe to him because he's really cool. With some glue and our nailer, we assembled our box quite quickly, although I realized halfway through that I was aiming at my nailer at my car the whole time. Luckily, we didn't have any accidents or pop tires, but it could have been bad. We've assembled everything but the roof. We're going to attach the roof with hinges so that we can easily access it for cleaning and for efficient cat grabbing. The roof is also going to have some waterproofing and the cedar fencing on it, so it'll take a little bit more work till we're ready to put that on. The things we do for our outdoor cats. We're doing all of this for you, but not you. You're kind of mean.
So I want the bottom of the hole about 4 inches from the bottom, just in case anybody decides to have kittens in here, even though all of ours are fixed. We want to make sure they can't get out. So if we start 4 inches from the bottom, we'll make the holes maybe 6 inches around. Then the center will be 4 plus 7 from the bottom. Or 4 plus 3, which is 7.
So we're just going to draw some circles and then drill a quick hole to get us started with the jigsaw. We're trying to get these as close to perfectly circular as possible, but jigsaws are imperfect tools, so it's a little iffy and there's some cleanup to do, but that's okay. Next, I'm just going to cut some legs here. Next, we're going to cut some pressure-treated legs. These are just going to hold the cat box off of the ground. This will help prevent rot because pressure treated will rot significantly slower than the plywood, so it keeps the plywood off the ground nice and dry and that sort of thing. We're also adding some holes that will also help allow for drainage. If any rain or cat pee or whatever gets inside of the box, it'll drain out, and moisture is the enemy of wood, so we're getting rid of that. Next, we're going to slice up some of these cedar fence pickets, and these will be the magical roofing situation. Fence pickets are just a super cheap solution to a lot of things.
Now that we have our fence pickets cut to length, it's time for some Shou Sugi Ban. What's that, you ask? Shou Sugi Ban is the traditional Japanese method of charring wood, specifically cedar, that can be used as siding or roofing. It has recently undergone quite a rebirth in popularity with architects and modern home design, and rightfully so, because charring the wood has significant advantages like these. Also, it just looks cool. We have this insanely overpowered propane torch, and it's really good at burning stuff. This really is quite dangerous, so we advise that you do not do this. It took us a whole 45 seconds to get the wood scorched to the degree we wanted. The goal was for it to be all black, but not to let the flame penetrate too deep into the structure of the wood. We were really just trying to apply a surface burn to the wood and not trying to go any deeper. Another thing I should mention is that true Shou Sugi Ban has an intensive process of drying, firing, and oiling. With this, we're really just going through a loose version of the firing process. It's a lot quicker and really will have similar results to the real stuff. If you're looking for a good supplier of Shou Sugi Ban wood and don't want to make your own, check out Delta Millworks in Austin, Texas. They have a great selection of materials, and I've spec'd them numerous times on many projects as an architectural designer. One thing I really love about Shou Sugi Ban is when it gets to that silvery level of burntness. You can start to see a little bit of it here, but we were really going for that flat black look as much as possible. I mean, this is just so much fun. I'm gonna have to make more stuff out of it just so I can have an excuse to burn more wood. We somehow missed a few spots on the end of the boards, so I'm just touching them up with a small butane kitchen torch. Same with the knots, they don't burn as easily as the rest of the surface would, so for that consistency, we'll just go through and darken up those spots. I'm absolutely loving this look, and I'm so glad I've found a way to make it at home. It also smells amazing in our backyard right now, although we did scare away all of the cats when we lit the torch. When the sun hits it just right, the silver look really starts to come through. I'm curious to know what you would use this wood for. Let me know in the comments if you have any crazy ideas for using Shou Sugi Ban. We're covering the roof with some thick tar tape stuff. We had this left over from our beer tap build and figured it would be a good use for this as well. There's not much to this stuff. It just rolls right on, and you make sure that you have positive lapping so that the water drains correctly. We have about an inch of overlap, which should be plenty for these cats. We thought about adding some board insulation on the inside here as well, and we may still, but for now we're going to see if they actually use it, and then we'll consider throwing in some insulation. Of course, you're going to want to stay away from spray or bat insulation because the cats would probably just tear it up and get all itchy. Our roof is now ready to go. The cedar should shed most of the water, and any of the water that seeps through the cracks of the cedar boards will have a layer of tar tape to get through. We had a bunch of leftover paint from this cute wall we have in our backyard, so we'll use some of the blue to paint the plywood. We painted before we installed the roof just to make our job a little bit easier and to prevent paint from getting on that beautiful charred wood. We also painted the pressure treated 4x4 legs a dark brown to match the Shou Sugi Ban. You definitely don't want to be Shou Sugi Banning pressure treated wood because all of the chemicals that they put in it. We're done for the night, but we'll come back tomorrow and add some finishing touches.
So cute. Where's the cat?
Found a cat, no worries. This one is super friendly and he still loves me even after this torture. I call him Little Buddy. I don't know his name yet. After some more fiery fun, we made some extra trim pieces to add some extra decorative bits to the box. We're just going overboard on the architectural elements and doing a sort of Germanic Dutch style situation, inspired, whatnot, with these extra bits of flamey board just so we had an excuse to make more flames. It also just kind of adds to the cuteness. Again, this was a fairly inexpensive project. Really the only thing that we purchased was a sheet of plywood and the extra trim pieces, which again, the trim pieces are simply excessive because these cats are so spoiled. We're adding some hamster bedding to the inside of the box for warmth and comfort. You could also use something like hay or foam, but this is what we had on hand, and we're just tossing it in there and seeing if they like it. Little Buddy's not too sure about it, but I think they ended up liking it later. Because nobody wants to sleep on a board after all, right? Do you want to sleep on a board? No. And now to just convince the cats to test it out and try it, we threw some treats in here and there was a little bit of manual coaxing, but a lot of these strays that we have don't particularly love to be touched. They just like to be fed because they're selfish little boogers, but that's okay, we love them anyways, clearly, since we built them their own special little house. As always, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, all that goodness. Tell us your favorite cats' names, and be sure to come back next time. Bye!